So you have to be careful. You have to regulate. You have to check who is this guy anapoipa to preach to the masses. Because if you have wrong beliefs, then you take them to the public and you tell your people this is what the Lord says, and these beliefs are harmful. That this is the consequence of those kind of people. You need to regulate the people who are given this mandate to preach to the masses. Right. I think that is my opinion.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Victors with Victor. In today's episode, we're talking about one of the things that's really trending on the Kenyan media today. And I think it has a lot to do with mental illness. I have my buddies here. Just within this week, we lost how many? 80?
No, 72.
72 persons, and also a couple of them are also admitted at the hospital. And this is due to this guy, Mackenzie, the self-proclaimed pastor. And then there's this lady who stabbed her baby to death, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, the video is really disturbing. If I came across it, I regretted watching it. And then there's this gentleman.
This guy from Kitengela, I think, who killed his girlfriend.
Yeah, I read the story. I heard that the girlfriend broke up with him to be in a relationship with the boss. What do you guys think is the problem? What's happening?
Yeah, so do you want to start or we ladies? Okay, we are all guys. okay.
Silly.
Yeah, so
serious matters now.
Yeah, so for me, I'll start with the Kilifi story, and it's very interesting because I was in Kilifi recently for a festival. I was filming Kilifi. It's actually a wellness festival.
Okay.
Kisima Festival.
Oh, Kisima Festival.
Yeah. So and one of the things that I normally do, I also fast from time to time, and one of the reasons I do that is because of like discipline and connecting more with God. But on an extreme level, like what the pastor shared or the proclaimed prophets, that people like fasted until they died, like it's very extreme. And I never ask anyone else to fast because it's a personal decision if you do decide to do that. And I can imagine one of the reasons why people might decide to do that right now is life for many people feels very hard, like hell for some people. That I can imagine for someone to actually decide that they are going to fast and until they die, like how they view life. They are not like this. Reality to them is almost like hell, so they are looking like it's an escape from the reality of life. And it's tough for men, especially with the story he just shared of you are struggling financially, you're not there yet where you wanted to be. And then also like your girlfriend who you feel like you've invested on. Also that, don't waste money on women and girls when you haven't established yourself. Like invest in yourself. You're the prize, but ya fair kaja fika usitume fair, acha afike refund.
Introduce yourself.
Okay. So I'm actually I didn't officially introduce me. So
my buddies are fun.
Yeah, so I'm actually a film director and I'm also a mental health advocate, and I majorly like to speak to men because men are the ones who most people forget about when it comes to things in the society. So my friend, I'll let him introduce himself as well, and then.
So you're male chauvinist?
Not chauvinist. Not chauvinist. No, it's okay.
No, it's okay. I'm just kidding, man.
I don't need to. Okay, I'm not going to explain myself to you guys, but okay. So like for me, I think that life is hard for a lot of people, and we should show kindness to each other more than what you're going through to cause bitterness. Like the saying is, don't be bitter, be better from the circumstances. Because when you go through something, you also get an understanding that other people are going through other tougher things, even that you might not be aware of. So being kind and nice to people helps. And this guy who did the girlfriend thing to
stab the girlfriend, The ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, the ex-girlfriend, and this is why you should speak up and about what you are feeling, because it gets to an extreme level where you are keeping things to yourself, where maybe like you see like your girlfriend is like having fun with other guys and you're like just trying to act cool and I'm good with her, and then when it reaches that extreme and then you act out, that's not good and that's not okay, and that's why you should have friends. You should have a place where if you have an issue with someone, just come to them and say, by the way, this and this and this, I don't like it, and you can break up. You don't have to, you're not tied to a person, and there are many people like you can meet that can be better than the one you think that was meant for you. So don't give up, don't be the villain in that story. Be the mature person, and if someone is disrespecting you in a relationship, someone doesn't value you, like I said, you're the prize. I'm not a chauvinist, but men, the problem is that men don't value themselves the way they should. Know your value, man. Know your value.
And what's your value?
That's a good question. I let him take over so that it's not a one. Yeah.
I'm a software engineer.
Levis, he said yes.
Yeah, Lewis.
Or Louis.
Yeah, or Louis. So I think I'll have to disagree with you, Kiasi.
Ouch. Okay. Or Kiasi, just a bit.
Too.
Okay.
You have a point, but then Kiasi too, because from all these situations, the three scenarios, the woman, the guy who killed the girlfriend and the pastor, I think it all revolves around mental health.
Yeah.
I think as a country, we don't have avenues to what can you say, to express yourself when you're going through something traumatic or when you're going through failure.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, the guy.
Yeah.
As men, you have to learn to deal with rejection.
Yeah.
Rejection.
Yeah. If a girl rejects you,
Yeah.
we need those avenues. We need to acknowledge that it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
You'll feel bad, you'll feel hurt, but then
Yeah.
you have to find a way to channel that anger into something productive.
Lou, have you been rejected before?
No.
It's okay, Lewis. It's okay.
I don't think so.
This is a
I
safe
think-
space. It's
no.
just between us.
I've been rejected with life, maybe opportunity.
Okay.
But then with women,
How did you go about it?
I have this guy. He's my friend, so
you guys are buddies,
I can talk to him when I'm going through anything traumatic, which helps. I think men, we need this avenue. We need people who you can talk to, even if it's one person. You can just talk to them and express your feelings. You don't have to go and take out your anger on your girlfriend or your ex-girlfriend. We need those avenues and men, and you have to understand that it's okay to be frustrated and not to be okay. But then we have to find better ways to express that anger.
And if I can add something to what he's saying, like when you look at the African, like in the recent history, we had elders, we had like an age set system where you are like a group of people that you can like come to when you have problems, even as much as they probably planned also raids in those discussions. I think that these groups were places where there was a sense of belonging and where men we can come and have like this table, a dialogue about our issues and come out better. I'm not saying that we should just be like all talk and no action in terms of how we go about things as men, but like talking also helps because we are not machines at the end of the day. And I like to believe that even through him as well, because also I share some stuff with him. There are sometimes when you have things in your head, it feels worse than sometimes it actually is. But when you start to share some of the things that you probably think you're struggling with or you're struggling with, it feels lighter. You feel lighter as a person. And I can say that also in terms of not just rejection but pain, handling pain, because I view pain differently than a lot of people, and it's because of my personal experience.
How do you view pain?
I think it's part of life, but it's not like, it shouldn't be like seen as a bad thing, because sometimes through that we get understanding of other people, and through that it's only through overcoming pain that we become stronger. Like the gym, for instance, like it's how your muscles grow, and it's through like putting yourself in sometimes situations where you feel like, and we do this challenge sometimes where, and this, anyone listening, by the way, this is a good practice for you men, where we approach random ladies not interested in them in any way sexually. Maybe sometimes, but more often than not, it's just to like feel rejection and move on. Where we ask for their numbers, and it's a practice we do from time to time. We've been doing it like since high school. We just approach random girls and just ask for their numbers and get rejected, and
For the numbers.
it's not. We actually even never call the numbers. We never call
No,
the.
just don't want the number. You're trying to quote the girl, I think.
You don't think you're playing with the lady's emotions? 'Cause
That's a good question.
If low-key she
Yeah.
had fallen for you, ladies don't say. And then you
Ah,
just
she-
happen to... wait a minute. And then you just happen to go and ask
Yeah.
for their number, and then they're like, sure. And then they're expecting you to call,
I
and
think
you
they
never
move.
call.
They'll be okay.
They move
Fine,
on.
they'll be
Yes.
fine. I don't think women are actually that one guy from that
These guys
random
are
day.
causing emotional damages out here.
I don't think women.
If these two ever asked you for your number, just know that they were never serious. Move on, please.
Yeah, so
All right, so now
Yeah.
I agree with you, Louis. I think the case of the madam who killed the baby and the gentleman who stabbed the girlfriend is probably mental health problem. But now, what do you say about this pastor?
yeah,
And that he lured over 200 people to be his followers, and over 70 something to starve to death, and others still, people are hiding, and you could tell that people were really drained, and they're trying to help them, but they're saying, no, don't help me, you're killing me.
I'm actually talking to my friend again about this topic, and I was saying spirituality is a very powerful concept. People don't understand how, because as human beings, we all have that need to I don't know, try to understand why we are here. And most of us go to religion for those answers, and it's very easy to manipulate people because
Through religion.
through religion, because we don't have, no one has the answers. We're just, all of us, they're theories at the end of the day. But then for most people they see these things as facts. Because I was watching a video about that pastor, 5 years old. That video is 5 years old.
So 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago. And the guy was saying, it was a bunch of kids, and they were saying they don't go to school. And then the reporter was asking, why don't you go to school?
yeah,
And they were saying that education is a man-made concept. Like, education did not come from God. If you read through the Bible, there's nowhere where God has said go to school.
So you feel like this guy brainwashed?
It's not even brainwashing. It's because people want to believe in something. You want to believe there's a reason you're here. And if someone tells you this book, this Bible will give you the answers of why you're here, you're gonna take it as law. This is how we're supposed to live. And the guy, I don't think these people were fasting because of this guy. They were fasting because of the Bible. The guy uses the Bible to convince you, to manipulate you. So what needs to happen? The government needs to regulate people who are these religious leaders.
But also, Louis, just before we get to Eugene,
yeah,
who in the right senses should do what this guy did, using the Bible to lure these people, and then you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 die up to the number that was buried, because we saw the officers
I
removing.
think the guy himself was also manipulated by his beliefs. Sometimes let's say for example, Hitler. The guy everybody says he's a bad guy, but at the time, I am sure in his mind he was also a good guy. His intention was not just to be, I'm just a bad person. No one is ever a bad person. We just have our beliefs. It just so happens that these beliefs are harmful. So we have to be careful. We have to regulate. We have to check who is this guy anapoipa to preach to the masses. Because if you have wrong beliefs, then you take them to the public and you tell your people, this is what the Lord says. And these beliefs are harmful. This is the consequence of those kind of people. We need to regulate the people who are given this mandate to preach to the masses. Right. I think that is my opinion.
Eugene, so as we close, because now with the gentleman and the lady, we can tell that it's not any gender's problem. It's a social problem, community problem. It's a problem. What is your word for the young lady or the young guy who's watching?
So unfortunately we usually don't have, like, there are a lot of therapy options here in our country because they are costly. But I know of a few organizations and I work with one which helps. If you need, but there is a helpline. If you need to call someone, if you're feeling like you just need someone to talk to, a stranger might help.
We'll put it down here on the
Yeah,
screen.
yeah. We have Mental 360. We have Headspace 254 for creatives. So there are many organizations that are coming up that are helping these young people who are feeling that they're in that dark space or dark place that they need someone to help them with. And we have festivals like Isima Festival, like I shared, which organizes events, and there's a catalog of people you can contact and they can assist you. That's just on
For free.
Yeah, that's just on the assistance part. But on the personal level, I think that we go through sometimes overwhelming challenges. We all go through like hell in a way at some points in our lives. But like I shared, I have this strong belief, and I'm also a believer in the Bible, not a distorted kind of view. But one thing that I learned from the Bible is that some of the characters I admired, they all went through like very dark, very tough periods in their life. And I'm gonna give one example just as I wind up. I'm gonna give an example of King Joseph, the person who not King Joseph, the one who became Pharaoh, Joseph. And he actually, like his brothers, like the way the story is recorded, like took him to a well. Like he was at one point in prison for not doing a bad action, and still he became a Pharaoh through that. Like it's like the bad periods in his life are what led him to become the person God intended him to become in life. So you might be looking at your situation, maybe you are in debt, you are probably struggling to pay rent, jobs are not coming up, and you feel like you are like you're done. But I'm here to remind you that you're still alive, and God still has a plan and purpose for everyone. And God, I believe, is in each and every one of us. So as long as you keep your faith, and I've gone through some stuff, but I've seen, and I'm sure you're a witness that you have overcome so much. Like even as much as you probably sometimes you might not be in a good place, when you look at where you've come from, you can be surprised at how much you have been able to overcome. So not to give up and not to take frustrations on other people, but to use that, like he said, that pain or that to channel it into a productive activity. And you might realize, and you will be very surprised at how happy and how at ease life can be.
Let me ask you a question, Eugene. Before I go to Louis,
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
So now, you said how happy. What is your definition of happiness?
Happiness.
And do you consider yourself happy?
Yeah.
Just a quick one.
Yeah,
yes.
a quick one. So, for me, happiness is a level of like a realization of how much of a gift the present moment is for me. And most times we tend to look at the past and regret, or look at the future and get worried, and we move from the state that God, I believe, intended us to be in, which is a state of like appreciation for what you have, where you are, and just the people around you, because most times we take things for granted. So for me, happiness is just that state of being content in the present moment.
Amen.
Yeah.
As we wonder, Luis, now to the same first question I'd asked him, a young lady or a young gentleman who's struggling out there, what would be your
I
closing
think the
remarks?
best way to deal with mental health, actually when you're depressed, the worst thing you can do is to be alone.
Yeah.
Be alone.
I think the best way, to cultivate a healthy mental health culture around you is to be part of a community.
Yeah.
And be part of a community that challenges you to be better. For example, you can join the gym.
Yeah.
If you've ever noticed, people who go to the gym are actually very positive people. Because every day when you go to the gym, like you said,
Yeah.
you have to push yourself. It's a challenge, with those weights. But then when you overcome that hurdles,
Yeah.
you just feel good about yourself. It's very hard to be depressed when you're improving yourself.
Very hard.
Very hard to be
Yeah.
depressed when you're improving yourself. So form a community where you're challenging yourself. Don't just form a community for the sake of being a part of a community. be part of a community that challenges you to be better. And I can assure you, if every day you're improving yourself, even if it's 1%, it's very hard to be depressed. I've never been depressed when I'm doing something
when you're on
productive.
there, yeah.
So one of the best way to overcome depression is being productive. Join a community, be productive every day, and you feel good about yourself. Yeah.
Your definition of happiness?
I think that is my definition of happiness, improving yourself every day. Because I have noticed that the days when I'm not productive or the days when I'm stagnant, automatically I just feel bad about myself. Whenever I'm doing something productive, it doesn't matter if life is, maybe I don't have the cash, or maybe I don't have, maybe things are not going well at the moment. As long as I'm doing something, I always feel good, and I'm always happy. So I feel like my definition of happiness is always as long as every day you're pushing yourself to be better, you'll be good.
And I'm gonna add, sorry to interrupt, I'm gonna add one thing I also do too, and it makes, and if you do also, you'll be surprised at how immediately you can increase your happiness. If you're in a position to help someone and you help them, yeah.
Eugene is a philanthropist. Yeah, thank you very much, guys, for coming and for committing your time to be in the show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, now you know that why I'm happy, because I'm part of a community. Good energy around you, yeah. So subscribe, comment. If you have any questions for this gentleman, you can drop it on the comment section and we'll direct it to them. We'll hopefully host you again, guys. So, asanteni sana.
Pleasure, man.
Thank you.